You ever find yourself scrolling these days and just feeling tired? Like this weird sense of exhaustion where you know you've seen it all before? It feels less like connecting with people and more like you're just consuming content. Well, let's get into why that feeling is hitting so many of us right now and what it could mean for the future of our online lives.
So maybe it starts with something like this. You're scrolling, minding your own business, and boom, there's the same generic portrait again and again. You see 10 different accounts, all posting the same exact thing, making the same breathless promise. Or, maybe it's this. Another video, another post, promising that one secret hack that's going to change your life. That feeling you're getting? That's not just you. It's déjà vu, and it's totally by design. The feed has kind of become this endless carousel of recycled clips and AI-stitched videos. And then, eventually, you stumble on something just truly weird. Content that makes absolutely no sense. The kind of thing that could only get boosted by an algorithm that's just chasing clicks at any cost. And yeah, Shrimp Jesus was a real thing that algorithms were pushing on people. This is it. This is the AI slop we're all wading through now. So what all this points to is a really crucial idea from our source material. This isn't just some weird phase the internet's going through. No, it's a fundamental breakdown. The social media we all signed up for in the first place, it's dying. Right, so how in the world did we get here? I mean, social media was built on this big promise of authenticity, right? A direct line to our friends, to what's happening in the world. But that social contract, it's been broken. It's been replaced by what the source calls semantic sludge. Just think about the trade-off we've made. We used to see pictures of our cousin's dog or our friend's wedding. Now we've swapped that for AI-generated spam. The feed doesn't feel crowded with people anymore. It feels crowded with content that was engineered purely to be consumed, not to create any real connection. And this whole shift has created these bizarre new ecosystems, like what our source has dubbed the bot girl economy. It's a perfect storm, really, of how these platforms can bend everything, even something as human as connection, into a transaction. The goal isn't having a conversation. It's getting a conversion. And just to be clear, this is not some tiny niche corner of the web. We are talking about a massive multi-billion-dollar industry that's using our mainstream platforms as its main marketing funnel. It's just further blurring those lines between who's a real person and who's an automated sales pitch. So, what's the result of all this sludge and all this transactional noise? Well, we, the users, are just completely burned out. And the data? It shows that any kind of meaningful interaction is in an absolute nosedive. I mean, the collapse is pretty stark. Average user engagement on major platforms like Facebook and X has cratered to a fraction of a percent. Others are seeing huge year-over-year drops. Look, people are still scrolling, sure, but they're not really connecting anymore. So why do we keep doing it? Because the timeline has changed. It's not a source of connection anymore. It's become a mood regulation device. It's this kind of half-conscious, compulsive habit, more like scratching an itch than actually trying to find something meaningful. And as these huge public squares start to decay, people are leaving. They're looking for refuge in what the source beautifully calls a billion little gardens. Smaller, more private spots like group chats, Discord servers, and newsletters. Places where context and trust can actually still exist. But here's the thing. Leaving isn't easy. It's not that simple. These platforms have basically walled off the public square where careers get built and where culture gets made. So opting out can mean isolating yourself both professionally and socially. And honestly, that's a luxury not everyone can afford.
So if just up and leaving isn't a real option for most of us, then what's the alternative? Well, we have to build a better web. The key here is to shift our online spaces from what they are now, architectures of addiction designed to keep us scrolling, to what our source calls architectures of intention. One really powerful idea is to introduce something called deliberative friction. So instead of making everything smooth and instant, we could build in these little pauses that force us to be more thoughtful. I mean, just imagine having to wait 90 seconds before you could fire off a reply. That tiny delay, that could be the difference between a knee-jerk hot take and a real, considered response. It could fundamentally change the entire tone of online conversations. Now, an even more radical idea is to stop treating these platforms like private casinos, engineered to extract our attention for profit, and start treating them like public utilities.
Instead of maximizing engagement, their goal could be to actually serve democratic discourse. Imagine them being governed by transparent civic charters that we all have a say in. That is a huge shift from a model of extraction to one of public service. And a huge part of that is giving us, the users, real algorithmic choice. Just think about it. What if you could actually decide how your feed is sorted? You want a simple chronological view? You got it. You'd rather see posts only from people you actually know and follow back? Just choose a mutuals first feed. Or maybe you want to break your filter bubble with a serendipity engine. This level of control shouldn't just be a neat feature. It should be a basic civic right. So what this all means is that these last days of social media, well, they don't have to be an ending. They could actually be the beginning of something much, much better. The path forward, though, it's going to require a fundamental shift in what we value online. Ultimately, the goal here isn't to become a Luddite or just abandon the web entirely. It's about building better spaces, smaller, slower, and more accountable places where the whole point is understanding, not just engagement. We're the ones who built these systems, and we can absolutely build better ones. So the real question is, are we going to choose to build our way out of this sludge? Or are we just going to get used to drowning in it?